All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Well, the next thing up is new business. We'll talk about that. Engineer Charlie Raleigh's bill, October invoice. Do you have anything to add to this, Charlie, at all?
Just a comment about that. There's a lot of dates there that I was at New Seabury Cottages. It's just the way that they,
We don't have mics.
Mine's lit up.
Hear us at home. I wonder if we might maybe check as we need to speak.
Oh.
You might go to a microphone. Sorry, I didn't even.
Yeah, are they in the control room? Are they able to hear us?
They'll hear Charlie from this microphone.
Okay, good. Sorry about that. I didn't even notice it myself.
Here they come.
No, you'll notice there's a lot of dates there for New Seabury, for Cottages 4, and that's just the way that the contractor has chosen to put in his sewer lines a little bit at a time. It would be easier if I could see a longer stretch and not have to come every couple of days, but that's the way they've been doing it, so it just takes time to do that. I'll be coming down here again tomorrow because they've got the additional drainage for me to look at. So, just as by way of explanation, that's why it seems to be a lot of visits, but that's the way they're doing it.
No, I've been down there. It seems like that's the way it's going down there, too.
Okay.
Anyone have any questions?
Nope.
Make a motion that we pay Charlie $950 for his services in October 2020.
A motion made by Mary, seconded by Dennis.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? I have it. Thank you. I'm going to pass around the form so you all can sign. Thanks. On this next item, do you want me to read the letter into the record?
You can summarize it,
Okay.
or at least maybe just that top paragraph. You don't need to read all those parcel IDs.
I'll leave this here. The next item on the agenda is a letter that was received by a property owner, Mr. Bill Haney. It's in reference to, oh God, I'm not going to read all those property assessor maps
The
location. but
address
it's-
is generally 431 Nathan Ellis Highway.
Yeah, it's in reference to 431 Nathan Ellis Highway, which is a large tract of land on the backside.
Oh, the
And-
subject says 40-acre site known as 420 Nathan Ellis.
Oh, it's
Highway.
420?
Yeah, it's in his subject line.
No, 420. Pardon.
Yeah, it's an even number, because the odd number, I'm just thinking about the numbers in my
Okay.
head. It is an even number, so that would be right. So he's looking to develop a solar energy site, and I just wanted you guys to look at this letter, think about it. It goes back to some of the discussions we had previously about, solar overlay districts,
Yeah.
whether we want to create something like that. But I'm just reaching out to see what you guys' thoughts are on this is.
So we did that. It was not put on the warrant by the Board of Selectmen. So my thought is we already did it as the planning board. Now, Chapter 40A, the Board of Selectmen, no, the ZBA can do submit a zoning bylaw, the planning board, and the property owner. The property owner can do that themselves. So I think since we already did this, and it was rejected from the Board of Selectmen, I just don't feel that it's gonna be well received by the planning board.
Well,
Go ahead.
That's my thought.
Mary's right. The articles presented to the selectmen were rejected, and we did meet and discuss the kind of the specifics as to why, and also got a little bit of clarity as to why we didn't need to put pressure on the articles, because the town is protected at this stage based on the current zoning on the books, right? But my takeaway from that meeting we had with Andrew and with Jack and with Mary, and I can't remember if there was another individual, it was David.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Selectman Whedon. I didn't hear a strong negative reaction opposed to the potential for expanding the opportunities for utility scale solar, I heard a general aversion for solar energy systems without any consideration for the substantial impacts to reduction in tree cover not being strongly considered in the language. So the board did bring this, but I would say the board can do nothing with this, and the property owner, if he feels strongly, Mary's right,
Yeah.
can submit an article. So the board can say, you know, we've considered this, we don't feel strongly that we'd like to move forward, and it can be on Mr. Haney to put forth language and submit to the selectmen. Or the board can go back to the drawing table and sit back with those members of the selectmen who felt strongly about the initial proposal and retweak, or go about it another way. There are a number of options, and you could do something or you could do nothing. But the original articles, well, the articles submitted at a former town meeting, I guess 2 town meetings ago, came about because Mr. Haney made a similar request informally to my department. And is very motivated to do something here, and has requested the board consider the amendment. So you can do something, you can do nothing. I think there are ways we can go. And that's just by way of background. So I wanted to make sure that this letter got in front of you tonight to decide where you'd like to go.
Yeah, I do remember the discussion we had.
Yeah, I
with
just
you
think
guys
that
there.
if it's the Board of Selectmen, and I wasn't at their meeting where they didn't put it on the warrant, just at the working group on it,
Yes.
right? If the Board of Selectmen is the point where it stopped, Mr. Haney can get access to them by submitting an article directly to them and working it out with them. And I hate to kick it over to the Board of Selectmen, right? But I'm like, that's the only way to really resolve that obstacle, is to work with the Board of Selectmen.
Because they're the final say, right? The
Yeah, did we
board.
ever get any clarity from them as to why they rejected the article at all?
It was a lack of consideration and a lack of incentivizing solar in already developed and already disturbed areas. And there was a general feeling that the language proposed provided too much ability, or too much leeway to have utility scale solar in all the districts without consideration for the impacts of loss of tree cover.
Yeah, and abutters, I
So,
see remember abutters come
I
up too.
don't think they felt that it adequately balanced the cost with the benefits.
Right.
The other benefit, the other benefit of having the owner do it is that they can specify these lots. Whereas for us, that might be considered spot zoning.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
that's why the
why-
overlay thing is different, but yeah.
Right, that's why it's powerful for that in chapter 48, that the owner of the property can do this, because it's not considered spot zoning. Whereas you're not supposed to do spot zoning as a planning board, you're supposed to do overlays and
Yeah.
areas.
I get you.
What is the land? Is it, can you develop it, or is it landlocked land that he did?
No, it's not landlocked, I
Yeah,
don't think.
there is, I've had a.
I mean, I've been out there for fires, that's what I've.
Right, I remember you saying
Yeah.
that, you know, so there is a road.
So there's a number of paper streets that give it access both to, what is it? There's a road in the rear there. I can't remember. Is it Old Barnstable Road? I think it's Old Barnstable Road.
Well,
Probably.
Boswell's
Behind
on
it.
one side, yeah.
And then 151. And it's a collection of all these parcels. The largest one's about 26 acres, just shy of 26 acres, split by the R5 and C2 zoning districts. There's a moderately sized parcel, I'd say, if I were to render a guess, 4 to 6 acres with frontage directly on 151, and then about 10 to 15 single-family parcels that go along the backside along Old Barnstable Road. So there's some development potential here. Under current zoning, the big parcel, you could develop the parcel along 151.
Right.
Under current zoning, with whatever uses are in the table. There is potential for a commercial center, like Southgate Village, or he could build out single-family homes on the currently zoned single-family lots. It is large enough to hit the 20-acre OSID bylaw, but is
there's a map,
ineffective
right.
for OSID because of its proximity to the Childs River, and none of the incentives work for it. So it doesn't work for that. So it could be commercial property, or it could do the single-family homes, or some conjunction in between. It's a pretty devastated site because it's been sand mined over the years, so about 50% of it is stripped of topsoils completely, and it's just sand. There's some wetlands, and also setback from the Childs River comes into play as well. So it's a site with challenges for conventional development under current zoning, but there are pathways to
Right.
develop either commercial or residential.
So I want to know, so if he puts the solar, say in the back, can he still develop the front as commercial and stuff? Or once he goes solar, that,
Well, it depends on what scale he'd want to do it. He could certainly leave, I guess you would say, his single-family lots untouched and leave them. I think there's benefit to maximize his site for solar, so he could build in adequate buffer areas
Yeah.
from those adjacent parcels. So I think if solar were to be on it, it would be to the benefit of the property owner and perhaps the benefit of the town to utilize the whole site, so there would be more adequate buffer area for the adjacent residential parcels and abutting commercial properties on 151. But it's not a site that's completely undevelopable, if you will.
No.
It's a site that is strewn with challenges, and due to the nature of the existing soils or lack thereof, solar would be an interesting application. As I think I had mentioned at the first time we kind of had discussed this. And there was, he kind of also discussed this and made the threat, which I didn't really take the threat of a 40B. There's a lot of land area here, and I said that we'd be happy to discuss.
Yeah,
the
that's
potential
not a
here.
threat.
that's what I, no,
It's not a
And so
threat.
That's what I
I
was
made clear
thinking.
that I
I'd
think we'd
rather
be
see
absolutely happy
housing.
to entertain a
I
conversation.
have the same opinion. I mean, I have no
That's what I
problem
was
with that
thinking,
threat.
that's why I asked, is
Yeah.
what else could we do to
And
challenge
also
someone
with
there?
the 40B, you could uniquely permit solar applications either on the roof, on canopies, or taking a portion of the site. So I didn't take that as a threat. I was eager to collaborate on the potential of a 40B and get some affordable units out of it. But there doesn't seem to be any interest from the developer.
I just know, dealing with him before, he's gonna try to get everything he can out of this property.
I think that's certainly clear.
You know, I mean, 5 years from now, he's gonna come back maybe and say, oh, I'm gonna develop this, I'm gonna do, you know, and,
So I suppose the purpose of having this on the agenda tonight was to have the board discuss amongst yourselves how we ought to respond.
Yeah,
Can we give him what we already worked on?
yeah, I think.
I know he has that.
Well, like you said, Mary said, we don't want to give the appearance of spot zoning, and it might be an easier avenue for him to propose an article to the selectmen, because that's ultimately where it goes to anyway, rather than trying to do an overlay, because an overlay is going to take a few years anyway, because it's going to get approved and all that, and,
Well, and I mean, I think that there's probably members of the planning board that would go into workshop with the same members of the Board of Selectmen, but they ruled, you know what I mean? They ruled with the pathway of our proposed bylaw. So I think that he needs to start with them, and he can as a property owner.
that's fine. And like you said, the threat of going to 40B is not an issue, so.
So would the board like to respond with a memorandum stating that the board is not going to take further action at this time? We have proposed an article at a former town meeting attached to hereto.
Yeah.
If you'd like to pursue this further, we suggest you contact the Board of Selectmen.
Great idea.
So moved.
Perfect.
yeah.
I like it. I don't think we need to make a motion. If you could just make that happen, that'd be
I'll
great.
submit a response.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Evan.
Thank you, everyone, for the input there. All right, moving on to old business. Discussion regarding the potentially inclusionary zoning bylaw proposals. I know that Mary had sent a letter, or a request if she needed to do something, and I think it was said that, yeah.
Oh,
you-
yeah, was I supposed to do something, or was you gonna do?
No, so we left, I essentially provided you the update I'm gonna give to I was gonna give to the
Yeah,
board tonight. So, we had left last meeting, and I had left you stating I was gonna conduct literature review and come back with some language or some proposals. Between then and now, I had a lengthy conversation with Alan Isbitz, who's the chairman of the Affordable Housing Committee, who is eager and excited that the board's gonna be taking up the conversation, and expressed a strong willingness to be a participant in that conversation. And I think he had stated, their next meeting is on 11/17. So he's gonna bring the conversation to the committee, and, just kind of discuss get a general consensus from them about where they'd like to go. Perhaps discuss the proposal in coordination with the housing production plan and our small update, if you will. So I opted to let them have that conversation, have that debate amongst themselves so that they can come to a consensus and be active participants. Perhaps join us at a future meeting when we workshop this further. So I stand by what I said. I will be continuing literature review and bringing language, but I wanted them to have the opportunity to have that conversation before becoming overly prescriptive with language. So we can allow them to help us define where we go. So I have nothing more for you tonight on inclusionary zoning, other than we can anticipate some collaboration with the Affordable Housing Committee on the proposal.
The next item is discussion regarding 950 Falmouth Road, the Chapter 40B comprehensive permit petition to the Board of Appeals and approval of the memorandum to be submitted into the record. Evan did include in our packet the memorandum he wrote based on the conversation we had at our last meeting. I've read it. It seems to cover everything we talked about. Does anyone have anything else?
No,
Just the last,
Sure.
John, you all set?
Go ahead.
Yep.
Just the last bullet point, any mechanical systems, whether on the ground or on the roof, should be concealed by landscaping, fencing, or an architectural element.
Did you copy that, Jen?
Oh, who wrote the memo?
No,
I
I
did.
can't hear Mary very well, unfortunately.
We'll move her microphone a little closer.
Hi, Jen, sorry. So just add to the last bullet point, by landscaping, fencing, or an architectural element.
Noted, Alderman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. All right, anyone else have anything else to add with that?
No, I thought it looked good.
Great. All right, moving on to the chairman's report. The comprehensive plan update, as we discussed last week, or last meeting. Evan wanted us all to kind of think about it when we got home and see if we could spitball some marketing ideas or naming this plan. I proposed something to Evan and got roundly shot down. I will say,
Just
though,
means we were fine.
I did, well, my idea was, Mashpee Vision 2020, and then I want, planning for the future by looking through the eyes of the past, whatever. But, so Evan suggested that I go and review some other sites, and just as he said, everyone in the world uses the same kind of vision statement. So I said, well, maybe we can go with something else. So if you all have any other ideas for possible vision statements or something we can brand this with, so, like the Yarmouth did, in essence.
They did very nautical. Well, I just think we already have a brand, and I want the tribe to feel that they're included. So I just think keeping it as simple as possible or expanding it to include the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe in our brand would do that. I just think Mashpee visioning is just enough. Yarmouth does have, the captain's row, they use the nautical symbol of the compass rose, which was clever, but that kind of fits Yarmouth because they have Packett's Landing, so I'm fine with it just being, the Mashpee visioning,
we could put a turtle on it. No, that's their symbol.
It's true.
I'm not
You know,
necessarily
on
looking
the
for
turtle-
visual
Yeah,
marketing.
turtle, you can
know what
have
I
things
mean?
coming down, suggest
That
some
would
different
tie
ideas
it
or
in,
something.
you're right,
You know,
yeah.
I'm just,
Every book has a title, and our plan is, the ultimate plan should be telling a story, not just of the past, but of the future.
right.
And so it's not a visual, not necessarily a visual scheme I'm seeking. And if, it can be boring, okay, it can. It's just we need to start somewhere, and I thought it would be a good exercise just to come up with something. My plan was at our next meeting to propose to you a schedule of workshop and actual engagement events for the next year. But I just wanted to start somewhere. And if it's Mashpee Vision, whatever, that's fine. Sometimes gimmicks are stupid, but sometimes they're remembered. So I'm saying cheesy and gimmicky isn't so bad either. I want something that, I think it's important that people can remember what we're doing and be able to call it something besides comprehensive plan update.
Right. So,
Well, I think the word visioning is much better than comprehensive plan.
You know what I
That's
mean?
true.
So, I mean, I don't feel strongly one way or the other about what it's called. And if you want to, if you want me to go back and propose some ideas and you vote them on at the next meeting, that's fine. I'll include that with the schedule I'm going to propose.
Does that sound
But I just thought
workable?
it would be a fun exercise.
That sound
Just to,
workable?
just to
Okay.
get the ball rolling and get our, you know,
Yeah,
our
absolutely.
chops a little
yep.
wet.
Have one just be Mashpee visioning, right?
And if we have,
And have something with the Native American symbol of the turtle.
if we have thoughts between now
Those
and
are
then,
you
should we
received too.
stick them to you?
Yeah, absolutely. If you got something, just send it, and we'll all be able to
Okay,
throw
All
our
right.
input in there.
yeah, that's a good idea.
No one did their homework except Mary.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, you did, you did. Jack, well, why
I
don't you share what
did
you
even
came
more
up, what you did?
homework. I was online on the Yarmouth kickoff meeting at 5:30 today.
Yeah, it started tonight. Their first kickoff is today.
I never did
How'd
homework
it go?
in
So
school.
Well,
I'm not
I
gonna start now.
I don't think their process is as intense as I thought it was gonna be. I think it's really just their visioning and mission statement they're working on.
Yeah, it's the development of a vision and a mission statement.
Which
That's
is,
how it starts.
ends up being like 1 sentence to 3 sentences. I think that their survey is basically like, tell us what your thoughts are. So we'll see when their survey is published on the website. I think it's going to be very general, so I could be wrong.
Yeah, and
I could
again,
be
I'm not
wrong.
suggesting we copy Yarmouth.
No, no.
Yeah.
If theirs
No, no, no.
stinks, ours is gonna be better.
Although
This
that's,
is going to be better.
that's
But,
important,
this is a crucial part of this process.
yeah, that's important work,
And,
because
and
that's gonna
again,
shape.
I wanna stress,
Yeah, shape the whole
I wanna
survey.
stress the
Sure it
point
is.
that I made to Dennis last week virtually, is that the last time this process was done was in 1992. And I would argue that the 600 or so respondents to that survey are very unlikely, or maybe aren't here anymore. So
Forgive you.
the folks who still live here, or are now living here, I think are entitled to the opportunity to participate.
No, it's true, but there was another survey done 10 years later. That's the one that's published on the website. And what I found was interesting is the results were almost exactly the same.
But so are the questions.
Yeah.
Right, but if people today are completely different, you would think there'd be different responses.
But even following that line of logic, it's been 13 years since then.
Right,
was
no,
gonna
I
say,
know,
that's- yeah,
but
it's
that's
time.
why I wanted to republish the same survey. I wanted to see if those trends were the same 10 years later.
Yeah, well, I understand that too, but I think there's a lot about that survey that's ineffective.
I like what you said, though, make it simple. You know, the first, like, help make Mashpee, you know, what dream you had about moving here or something.
Yeah,
And I think these workshops
Right,
will also
but
help
I
us
hate to be,
clarify that.
you know, a stickler on this, but a lot of people didn't move here, right? A lot of people were here. And if we start off, you know what I mean? Like, we have to be really
When you say, what do you mean, a
sensitive.
lot of people?
A lot of
didn't-
people have been here for thousands of years.
Not, when I got here, this town had 7,000. This town now has 15,000.
Right.
So a lot of people
So
moved
that's
got
here.
here
50
was-
right, no,
We
no,
didn't
no,
grow
I-
by
but you- but if there's-
procreation.
if-
but
I got here, it was 4,000.
Yeah, exactly.
something,
Yeah.
You know,
I'm just saying
that's
that
when it was nice.
Yeah.
I'm trying to give a voice to our Native American brothers and sisters in this town, and I don't want to ostracize them from the get-go.
No, we just
Oh, we represent them as
include
much as
them in the,
as
they'll be
everyone else.
included in the
They're voters
process.
in this town.
And I would just say that just like any other stakeholder in this process, the tribe and tribal members are going to be have every opportunity to participate in this
Right.
process.
They'll have an
And not
equal
only
voice.
Yeah,
that,
absolutely.
as a completely separate government entity, can undertake their own planning processes as well, which we, as staff members and as town members, would have an opportunity to engage in. So we can honor the tribe through this process and their history.
Yeah,
But we also have an obligation to pursue an update to this plan through the eyes of this government entity.
Yeah, I agree. So I think that when you come up with these workshop dates, I think those will help us develop that as well.
So, okay.
All right, Town planner report, discussion regarding the wastewater impact fees.
I just want to let you know that I submitted a request to council to provide a presentation at their next available convenience. I'm awaiting a response from them about when they can do that.
Oh, good.
Cool. All right, committee reports, Cape Cod Commission.
So I have been accepted as a member of the climate change working groups that the Cape Cod Commission has put together, and I joined Housing and Development. And that's my update.
Well, you stretched yourself there, didn't you? Sorry, that was, all right, Community Preservation Committee.
I don't think I can help with traffic, except that I hate traffic, right? No meeting.
Design Review? He's not here.
That's it.
Plan Review, he's not here. Environmental Oversight Committee?
They're meeting right now.
Oh, that's what's going on up there, yeah. Greenways Quadrant Footbridge,
Nope, nothing.
no meeting.
No meeting.
Historic District,
Nope, I'm still waiting for Evans to call
Still
me.
waiting on the applications, Dennis.
Right.
feel
the
like we
Military
got scared.
Civilian Advisory Council has not set another date for the next meeting. They're still trying to work out the logistics for getting more than 100 people to participate.
Wow.
It's either like these tiny little meetings or like 100 people.
Yeah. Correspondence, everyone's had a chance to go through the correspondence. Anyone have any questions about that?
No.
Charlie, do you have anything?
Just on that third item on your correspondence, that waterways application,
Yeah.
as is my custom, if I see plans, I take a look. And I noticed that, just for your own edification and perhaps the Conservation Commission, because they'll be looking at it, it's not stamped by a registered engineer. It's a structure that they're proposing. It's not something that a land surveyor typically does, and that's what he's got his plan labeled as a PLS, which means professional land surveyor. So he just needs to update that. I'm sure that they'll pick it up when it goes to waterways, but
Is this a house
one of those
structure?
little things that I
it's
nitpick
pier.
about.
Can we?
Oh, it's a
can we-
pier? Is that what they're
Yes.
doing?
Yeah.
Can we send that comment to Waterways?
I could send it to Conservation, I think, as well.
Right.
Yeah, why don't we
Can
just
we
let them know
send
that you noted that?
Yeah.
Sure.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
Cool. As far as additional topics, I do want to bring up the fact that our next meeting, we were scheduled to be in this room, but we've got bumped by someone who got bumped by the holiday next week. So the only other alternative, and other than scream and yell, is to hold it as a Zoom meeting. I don't know how everyone feels about that.
I'm fine.
Fine with me.
That's
All
fine.
right?
Yeah, that's fine.
If there's no public hearing for
No.
that date,
No,
yeah.
that's
Yeah,
fine.
we'll just make sure that that's all set. So unfortunately, I don't know how we got bumped, but from our regularly scheduled meeting by someone who's not scheduled, but,
I can't explain.
yeah. So,
Do we want to do the comprehensive plan at the following meeting then? Because
That
that's
way, 'cause
probably
we-
one where we want to be in person.
Yeah.
That would be a tough conversation via Zoom.
Okay.
yeah, that's fine by me. That would be the 2nd on December? We'll do that?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay. All right, I have nothing else. Anyone else have anything for the?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Dennis to adjourn, seconded by Mary. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Nope.
Okay.
Have a good night, y'all. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Hold on, Jack, can I ask, can I make?
Absolutely, jump right in, Jen.
Okay, I just wanted to let you know that I, a couple of times, and I did it again tonight to see if I could do the live stream, and I